We are arriving, cribs on driving. Come on. We are arriving, cribs on driving. Let's go. What makes them thrive? What gives them drive? Keeps us occupied. It can't be denied. Dayan and Fabi taking you for a ride. Front door to backyard, bedside to fireside. Showing you things to get you inspired. So sit back and relax and take a look inside. We are arriving, cribs on driving. Come on. We are arriving, cribs on driving. Yeah. We are arriving, cribs on driving. Get real. We are arriving, cribs on driving.
Paris, the city of lights, fashion, and all things beauty.
We took a deep dive into the inner sanctum of the creators of beauty, and there's nowhere better to get inspired and start our journey than a Paris cafe.
I agree.
After a cup of coffee, it's time to visit where it all began.
On Rue Royale, one of my favorite shopping streets, and also the home of Eugene Schuler's original office.
I can't believe we're here.
I know.
The House of L'Oreal.
The House of L'Oreal.
The creators of beauty.
They have been innovating in hair care, skin care, nail care. We've been recommending this as dermatologists, brands like La Roche-Posay, Vichy, SkinCeuticals, Skin Better Science. We forget that this really is a house that supports many different beauty brands beyond dermatological beauty.
And think about it, it's been around for over 100 years. So
Yes.
in those 100 years, they've done a lot of the science that now results in many products we use every single day, both in our practice and by the consumers.
And they've set the standard for many other beauty brands.
Yeah.
So let's check it out.
Yes, let's go
I
check it
know.
out.
Welcome to L'Oréal, Le Visionnaire. Please, you are my guest. It's a pleasure to have you today.
Wonderful. I mean, this is beautiful. So people really don't know that hair care is where Eugene Schuler started with
Exactly.
L'Oreal. I think it was the product was actually called L'Oréal.
Yes, and the name of L'Oréal Group came of this product.
So this is where all the magic started.
We are very proud to show you today the first project launched by Eugene Schuler in the Little Kitchen. So it's the first...
He made it in his kitchen?
Yes,
Okay.
Little Kitchen. I want to show you the first book and journal of Eugene Schuler, and he writes the new formula for this project.
So his recipes.
Yes,
Are here.
exactly. Yes, the first
Very
historical
valuable.
one.
And that's the original books.
Yes.
To take us from the past to the present, no one better than Miriam Cohen-Wellgren, president of L'Oreal Dermatological Beauty Division. A little bit more on dermatological beauty. You know, this division of L'Oreal. Not everybody knows.
division.
The beautiful division, yes. But tell us a little bit about it. Not everybody knows that this is a division that resides within the House of L'Oreal.
So it's a division whose purpose is to very simply change people's life, you know.
Yes.
You know that when you have skin conditions, it's a burden. It impacts your life. It changes the way people look at you. It can be stigmatizing, you know.
Yes.
Our purpose is to support dermatologists to accompany their patients. And to do that, we have 5 beautiful brands, La Roche-Posay, CeraVe. So from pathological standpoint to aesthetic standpoint, we also have SkinCeuticals and Skin Better Science. Basically, all we do is rooted in science. L'Oréal is a company that was created by a chemist. It's totally rooted in science. We spend over 1.3 billion euro every year in science. We do a lot of clinical studies together with the dermatologists we work with.
Yes.
And all this to design the best technologies to help patients with eczema, acne, psoriasis, all kind of conditions,
Right.
where cosmetics can help having a better life.
What do you believe the future of dermatology holds?
I think dermatology will need to be more inclusive. That's for sure.
Yes.
We had a moment when we realized that in the end, when you look at the research we did, it was on a very limited spectrum of skin type. It must be more inclusive, and we need to push the knowledge on all skin types. That's one, and it's a very important one. It can also and will be more connected and therefore more personalized. Suppose you have the patch that tells you the UV you receive, and that becomes, you know, a second way of living, and that you know when you are exposed, when it's dangerous and you need to protect yourself, and pushes you to put the UV filters that allow you to have a normal life if you want to. I mean, that could be a game changer in the way you prevent skin disease.
It was really exciting to hear you launch your initiative.
Yes.
ACT.
L'Oréal Act for Dermatology.
Right. Tell us more about that.
The dermatology ecosystem is suffering because there's scarcity of dermatologists and people struggle to access to skin health.
Right.
Which we believe at L'Oréal is a human right. So it's about knowledge.
100%.
How do you access to skin health? You've got a medical ecosystem that are very different from one country to the other. Understand what are the barriers to access to skin health. We create an advocacy desk to advocate the subject with institution, government, all the people that can act so that people understand that there is a crisis. There is a crisis.
Even in France, right? Like a developed country, you have 8 dermatologists to 100,000 patients, right? In the US, only 530 derm residents graduate a year. For a population that continues to grow, it's been the same amount graduating for the last 15 years.
Third element is education.
Yes.
Because everything starts with education. All along the chain from the derms, where we gonna contribute to give grants to also help, the public sector that is really suffering. Now, derms are getting out of the public sector, and it's very important. General practitioners, they see a lot of people, but they don't necessarily have the education and the understanding of the subject to treat things properly. You can have a big impact if you structure the scaling up on best practices, such as reaching patients where they live in very remote places, leveraging teledermatology to kind of deal with the most important cases when you can't have an access to a local derm.
Yes.
Stuff that can be easily deployed and that can make a big difference.
Well, thank you. Thank
You're
you for
welcome.
sharing your time with me today and with our audience of healthcare providers. I think that we really wanted to be able to share all that L'Oréal is doing to advance dermatology and beauty. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Such a big vision. Now we need to see how it's all put into play. It takes a lot of people, a lot of scientists, a lot of work, and no one better than Philippe Barberet, the global head of hair, scalp, science, and technologies. Let's see what he has to say.
This is the home of L'Oréal Advanced Research.
Wonderful.
L'Oréal Advanced Research, it's about 800 scientists worldwide.
800 scientists worldwide.
Absolutely.
But there's 4,000 scientists.
In R&I,
L'Oréal.
4,000 scientists.
And R&I
worldwide.
stands for
Research and Innovation.
It's so much innovation that you guys file almost how many patents a year?
More than 600 patents a year.
Amazing.
600 patents per year. And if I understand correctly, over 100 papers per year?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so this is like a really important point for all of the physicians, providers that are watching. The research that is done is for all brands, whether it's the hair care brands, Redken, or whether it's the nail care brands, Essie, or whether it's dermatological beauties such as SkinCeuticals, CeraVe, Vichy.
You're right, we cover all the brands portfolio of L'Oréal. We study hair science, skin science, microbiome science, whether it is healthy or disorder.
So we'd love to see the labs.
Let's get lab ready to meet Luc Aguilar, International Research and Development Director at L'Oréal Advanced Research, France.
This looks to me as nice as any university laboratory I've ever been in.
Probably nicer.
Nicer, yeah.
It's basically a big lab dedicated to skin and hair. And there is nowhere else places where we can manage this kind of studies and research at L'Oréal.
How many PhDs do you have working here?
30 to 40 PhDs, then engineers, students, and lab technicians in order to run the lab. Cell biology first, physiology, then molecular biology, and then joining forces with chemists, with engineers in mechanics for bioprinting, for example, that will all together bring all the studies on hair and skin. So we pour here in this petri dish, we pull the collagen, and then we pull the fibroblasts, and after a week, we can see these circle forming into the center of the petri dish. And this is the collagen that has been reticulated by the fibroblasts.
So you put liquid inside there.
Yes, collagen is liquid. The cells are doing their activity to tract and to reorganize the collagen fibers.
Right.
And then by organizing, they are taking all the fibers and then reticulating and forming this skin dermal equivalent that sits in the middle of the petri dish. So after having the dermal equivalent, we're going to make the epidermis. Epidermis is made of keratinocytes. It's the most present cells into the epidermis. We had this layer. Then we are pouring on top of this layer keratinocytes. And then the keratinocytes will multiply on the surface of the dermis. And after another week, the magic of constructing the skin is the airlift passage, meaning that we are putting the disc on top of a layer. By doing so, the cell culture is infusing the dermis, and then the keratinocytes start differentiating. And by doing differentiating, they start creating the stratum corneum layers. After 2 weeks, you have the epidermis and the stratum corneum. 3 weeks in order to, from the cell to the final tissue containing the skin dermis and the skin epidermis.
And what about melanocytes?
Yes, that's a very good question. Let's have a look on the screen on the melanocytes.
Okay.
Here are the melanocytes, and if you have a look, they have a completely again different structure from the two others.
Amazing.
They have displaying dendrites. They are derived from neurons, basically. They have the same origins. And there are some diffraction. You can see the brightening. This is the melanin pigment. So this is a melanocytes from fair skin, basically. And let me show you a melanocyte from a dark skin tone.
So you've created skin models to represent all different melanated types.
Absolutely. Based on that, we are able to recreate pigmented skin equivalents that stand with the fair skin, which is the one, to the darker skin type.
Amazing.
And this is really a know-how from L'Oréal, as it's not so easy when you add all the 3 skin cells, fibroblasts, melanocytes, keratinocytes, to reproduce the melanin pigment by the melanocytes that is transferred to the keratinocytes.
Are there other applications for this incredible technology that L'Oréal's created?
Absolutely. And I want to invite you to see one of the applications of this fantastic 3D reconstructed skin through photoprotections. So welcome here to the simulation lab. What an amazing lab. It's completely black. And here we do have systems and machines that reproduce the sun wherever we want and in whatever the seasons we want. So let me show you how we are leading experiments on the solar simulator. Basically, we are taking the 3D reconstructed skin we previously showed, and then we are launching an exposure, exposing UV on the skin, and we can measure the irradiance, the quantity of UV we are delivering, and exactly the penetration we are able to lead onto the different skin layers, the epidermis and the dermis. And this helps us then, once we have exposed, then we are taking back the skin equivalent, and then we are doing in the other labs all the molecular, the histological analysis in order to characterize the different damage.
So really like 360 care when it comes to La Roche-Posay. Healing, also being able to bring down pigmentation and then protect that healed skin with your anti-Helios line with its unique filters.
So now I'm pleased to introduce you to Valérie. Valérie is leading the Predictive Technology department, and she's going to walk you through the future of our 3D reconstructed skin.
So you have seen this epidermis that we are for now more than 45 years we are able to reconstruct in the lab. We created the reconstructed skins. We created our subsidiary EpiSkin to produce and sell these 3D skin models all around the world to make them available to all. And so with all of this work that we have done, of course, at L'Oréal, but also with our external partner, academics, and also authorities to work collectively on that, L'Oréal was able to stop animal testing in 1989, 14 years before the European regulation requires it. So we are very proud to have contributed actively to that. Roughly 5 years ago, we were able to develop reconstructed skins with atopic lesion. And now, since quite a few years, thanks to the technology of the 3D printing, we are able to develop patterned reconstructed skins that have atopic lesions. And I will let you discover with Maite on the bioprinter how we do patterned atopic skins.
So this is 3D printed skin.
This is 3D printing where we are putting human cells inside this and they reconstruct skin inside this.
Inside of this. This is the matrix
So
for the
we are
skin?
mimicking
Yes, this is-
exactly.
yes.
It's a scaffold.
Do you think you can create skin that could be transplanted onto humans?
Not L'Oréal, because this is not in the cosmetic
biologic,
industry.
okay.
The aim is that they take some of our cells,
Yes.
they cultivate them, they grow in that way, and they can put it again in the big parts that have been burned. That's
Okay, I
exactly
want to
the point.
ask a question for a friend. Well, how about hair?
So Steve, you wanted to know more about scalp for one of your friends? Let me
friend.
introduce you, Frederick, my friend, and he will tell you everything about scalp and hair.
Amazing.
Thank you.
So we will begin with a tool, first for diagnostic, but also maybe to measure with accuracy performance of our products.
So, I mean, we've just learned so much about the products that you have to treat conditions, but you're also creating products to help us diagnose and also measure outcomes from the procedures and the treatments that you offer.
So we will begin. Who wants to be the first?
Ladies first.
Okay.
Ladies first.
Well, you can see the actual hair
You
follicle
can actually
units.
see the hair follicle units and you can see the scalp. I'm glad I washed my hair today.
So you finally you have an information. So you have
Okay.
the picture. Here it's white light.
Amazing.
And then we move to the results.
I'm really excited about this.
First, you have a global information regarding an index for your well-being of scalp, information regarding different states, your dandruff, the risk regarding hair loss, information regarding microbiome, the sensitivity.
73% not looking favorable. What's going on with my hair?
So after you have the different things, so for example, the density, you have a detection about all follicles.
So 32% density, so there's an opportunity for increasing that.
Yeah. Regarding the global diameter, here you have a segmentation regarding all the fiber and an automatic assessment regarding the thickness.
The more thickness, the less risk.
The variation.
Oh.
Because when you have very thick hair and very thin, it's a marker of possible hair loss.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you have the same,
Yes.
you know, the same thickness, whatever it is, you are less
It's like
impacted.
all the Bella
So
Cities.
I'm 48%.
So you are in the middle, so your risk is medium.
Ouch. Okay. And then
And after you-
microbiome. Wait, this is super interesting.
We have information regarding the UV light. We're
Okay.
able to see information on that. And we have dandruff. Here it's an area without any dandruff, so you have 0%.
At least one measure that's okay.
No, you have a lot when you have, you know, everything what is in green is okay. So you have 3 on 6.
3 metrics. There you go. 50-50.
50-50.
You want to try it?
No. Well, thank you so much. This was incredibly enlightening.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
I'm
Thank
leaving
you to-
super excited with everything you taught us.
I don't think I had any idea of the level of science that was going on at L'Oreal.
And
Thank
innovation.
you very much. Very
Thank
happy
you.
to share with you today.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Frederick.
Safe trip back.
Okay.
We
let's
will.
see. Thank you. It's always so interesting to see the research and development, and it's inspiring. But to really understand how we put it into place and how we use it in the clinic, there's no one better than Dr. Bertrand Chaubert, the Global Chief Medical Officer for L'Oréal Dermatological Beauty. He really can help us to synthesize all of this and understand how we become better clinicians with L'Oréal products. I understand there's over 4,000 scientists that work within L'Oréal. And it's so nice that when I get to sit down with you or other scientists, we can talk the same language.
Exactly. I think what is unique at L'Oréal is the strong research we have. It's not only research on ingredients, research on basic, fundamental skin and hair science. So there's a lot of people in different centers. So we have 21 centers around the world with scientists, even doctors as well, and the research, looking at understanding much more the skin, the hair, the physiology, the impact of UV pollutions, microbiome, and we published a lot. L'Oréal is one of the companies to publish a lot on their discovery.
So for the greater good, you give out this technology so other people can use it as well for education and training.
Yeah.
That's really impressive that a company such as L'Oréal, which is making the largest cosmetic company in the world, and you're using your technology and you're sharing it scientifically with others.
The objective is to change the way we assess and to have the easiest way and the safest way to assess for other companies as well, not only for us.
All right, so Bertrand, it's really interesting to me because here's a company that's rooted in science. Eugene Schuler, your founder of L'Oreal over 100 years ago, was a chemist. Clearly, science is a core component to L'Oreal brands. LDB divisions in particular has a lot of science with La Roche-Posay, Vichy, and SkinCeuticals, Skin Better Science. So it's really impressive about all the science that we see here. But I meet these scientists in the laboratory. I see these EpiSkin. I see all this research on melanin and UVB protection. And it seems so medical to me. I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, there's this medical component, but then you have this like cosmetic and aesthetic component. Where do they meet? And is this a marriage of two different types of philosophies on the science of medicine and aesthetics? Are they coming together?
So this is how we really merge the cosmetics or the use of creams, of topicals, to really increase the effect of the drugs or to counteract its side effects. And it's the same for pathology, and it could be exactly the same for aesthetic. You can also integrate skincare routine in treatments, aesthetic treatments, in energy-based device, for example, and we every time we put the science to show how combining both of them is better for the results, for the maintenance, for the quality of life.
So I think we all benefit from the research and innovation that's coming out of the L'Oreal brands and in the research and innovation department here. They're complementary. And I think it's clear to all of us, especially those who are clinicians, that aesthetics and psychoaesthetics and skin quality and dermatology, they all kind of come together. And I think we're all better off because of what L'Oreal is doing. And we appreciate so much what L'Oreal is bringing to both the medical aesthetic world and to the cosmetic world. So Bertrand, thanks so much for meeting with me. Thanks so much for giving us insight more into the science behind the L'Oreal brands.
Thank you, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
This week where we visited L'Oreal, I think I exceeded all my expectations.
I never realized how much they are driving beauty through science.
I agree with you. That Research and Innovation Center was beyond what I could have ever expected.
I mean, it's not just doing clinical trials on their products, but it's also actually innovating new technologies that I had no idea that they were doing. And not just molecules, but even EpiSkin.
Yes.
And the bioprinting that they're doing.
Right.
It's blown me away. I mean, they're doing more than I think most pharmaceutical companies are doing when it comes to the dermatologic space.
And how about the fact that they were giving back, like they were helping dermatologists all around the world?
I feel like they have such a strong moral compass, and that really guides, what they do for society as a whole and dermatology as a whole. It's been true inspiration for me as a dermatologist.
Yeah, it has been inspiration.
Yeah. So
I can't wait till we come back.
Yeah, seeing what they come up with next.